are live, everybody. Thank you so much for checking out the video. If you're with us, if you're not, maybe you're checking it out a little bit later. Let us know if the volumes aren't to your liking. Give us a comment. And other than that, Alex, how's it going?
Good, John. I'm kind of glad every time I feel like we do a video talk about the weather. But it's been very windy lately.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm glad it seems like we're kind of getting away from that, hopefully. But yeah, everything's good.
Yeah.
Excited for summer. How about you?
Yeah, same thing. And it's funny because Miguel and I were talking yesterday. We were like, yeah, we screwed up on that for the 4 cons of El Paso. We should have just done number 5 as the windy season. And the reason that I didn't is because it's really only like a month out of the year. So I was like, it's only like a month. But yeah, like if you don't like wind and dust and stuff, like March is not going to be your jam. So I'm unofficially adding the windy season of March to our top 5 cons of El Paso.
Definitely.
But other than that, yeah, everything's pretty good. Pretty excited. Yeah, I'm excited for the summer. Weather's been awesome lately, so that's great. So what we'd like to do today is we're going to do a real estate market update for you. It's that time of year where, you know, winter's always the slowest time of year, and then spring starts to ramp up, and then summer, it's pretty much go time. So we wanted to talk about what's going on in the real estate market, of course. But first we were going to have just like some pleasantries. We're still working on, we kind of got our new studio. We're still working on our live capabilities, but let's just do some fun little things. So I got a couple of things. Miguel, can you bring up the picture of the chair? So the other day I was driving down Interstate 10 towards Horizon City, and I saw this, which I thought was awesome. These guys had this big like white gold outline like chair in the back of the pickup truck, which I thought was pretty epic looking. So that was pretty fun. And can you bring up that Starbase one? Leah and I were in Corpus about a week or so ago, Corpus Christi, and south of Corpus Christi is SpaceX's, and I forget what they call it, Starbase, maybe they call it. It's in like Boca Chica, right on the Gulf there. And right when we were there, we were 2 days there before they launched that 3rd test flight of Starship there on the left. They put it up on top of, actually, that big tall thing on the right. It's a Starship on top of the booster. So I don't know, lately I've become kind of a like a rocket science nerd. Like, I think it's so cool what they're doing. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, there was, before I forget, there was, was it like 6-8 months ago, I was driving in the freeway on I-10 back to the west side, and it was like 8 or 9 p.m. And I saw one of the things, but you don't know what it is at first, right? And you just see this light and this thing, and it moves, and it was really, really cool. So I'm surprised not a lot of people posted that stuff, because maybe we could have seen it again this last time from here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I guess I never even thought about it that we could see it from here. But yeah, I mean, we're 8-9 hours from there, more or less. So, so that's what I've been up to. You've been up to anything?
Working and getting ready for summer. There's a trip in June to Mexico.
Nice.
Like a whole family trip is like very, very important. We're gonna go to Cancun.
Nice.
Almost a week. There's this resort over there. Apparently it's very popular, and the whole family's gonna be there. So I'm very excited about that. Just kind of working on getting all that together.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, summertime, time for vacation. Kids are getting out of school, so all that stuff's starting to happen. So that's awesome. And what you said first is that you've been busy, and yeah, we definitely have been a little bit busier. Miguel, can you bring up that buckboard listing? So the real estate market is definitely picking up. We just had this listing in Cimarron Canyon come live yesterday. We're doing an open house there today. How about Campo del Sol? We've also seen a lot of interest lately in Campo del Sol, which is this new area in the Northeast, you know? So that's been pretty fun. So yeah, the real estate market is definitely starting to pick up.
Yeah, I can definitely tell. You know, you can tell when it starts to slow down close to Christmas, and you can tell when it starts to pick up, and I feel like we're getting there. And talking about that, Campo del Sol, we talked about that about a year ago, and we actually went there, and they were starting to build homes, and now the growth that you see in there is it's pretty big, and there's more stuff that they're going to continue to build, amenities and all that. So I think the Northeast, that area is going to be very popular, I think, this year.
Yeah, I think so too. And not to say that there isn't a lot of new construction everywhere else in El Paso, but this is kind of a new, exciting, fun. That Campo del Sol area, they're really trying to really capture that affordability price point. What, like 250 to 350 maybe? Yeah. So. That's pretty solid. So lots of stuff going on in El Paso. And so let's just go ahead and jump, I guess, into the market update. Can you bring up that first slide, Miguel? So this, oh, by the way, I wanted to plug a little bit our newsletter. Every Friday, we put out a newsletter, and it's not spammy in the least. All it is just about real estate in El Paso. So this information is from the newsletter I did about a week or two ago. So if you're interested in that newsletter, hit us up, John at penaelpaso.com, and we can get you signed up for that. But let's jump into this one. So I've got basically, I think that's number 2. Hit me on number 1, Miguel.
I think it might not.
That's all right. Get me to price trends. Let's start with price trends. We'll get there. Very bottom one, I think. Yep.
You gotta close the other ones. I think that's the one with the chair for some reason.
Oh, okay. That's all right. Bear with us. We'll get there.
Yeah, it's the chair instead, for some reason. Let me just talk about it. We'll
let me talk to you about price trends. So basically, if we look back about 2 years and we look at the average price that a home sold for in El Paso, 2 years ago it was about $250,000. Okay, so which we've said for a while, like the average price in El Paso of a home has been around $250,000.
Yeah.
Now, that was in 2022. 2021-22, like that's when it was still like a pretty crazy market, and houses were selling for multiple offers, over asking price. So average sold home, $250,000. Now, the last couple of years, 2023, last year, I mean, it was kind of slow. But the cool thing about this graph is what it shows is that, believe it or not, actually the prices have increased. So that last month, the average price of a sold home here in El Paso was $280,000. So it's pretty crazy to think about how at the height of the market, homes were selling for on average $250,000, and then even through kind of a slow patch these last couple of years because of the higher interest rates, prices have still gone up. That's the whole point of the slide. Is like, with the higher interest rates and the market slowing down, you would think that home prices in El Paso would have been going down. That's not the case. So, 250 up to 280. You got any thoughts on that? Why that might be the case?
I don't know. I mean, you would expect that not a lot of people were going to buy homes right now, and the market was going to be a little bit, settled a little bit. But I felt like even with the interest rate, there was people buying and selling homes. Obviously, not as much as before, but the homes are still selling right now. Maybe it takes a little bit longer to sell the homes, but the homes are still selling. It's a lot of people call us from other places in Texas, and they're like, "Hey, the prices here are literally dropping everywhere." The only thing that I see price drops here is in homes that have been on the market for a long time, maybe that they're overpriced, or the builders, right? That the homes are already finished and maybe the contract fell through, and then they're trying to incentivize people to buy those homes and they drop the price. But for the most part, I don't see the drop in prices like people are expecting.
No, there is no drop.
Assuming. So
no, there hasn't been a drop. And the only other thing I think that's caused a little bit of that increase is that there's been new homes. There's been a lot more new home inventory. Yeah. Remember, back during COVID, that's when like the builders got really behind and they couldn't keep up, right? But now, that's a couple years ago. All the supply line chain things have been pretty much worked out. Labor things have gotten better. So I think the price increases also kind of reflects the fact that a lot of new construction is coming online. Of course, new construction homes are more expensive than resale homes. So
yeah, it's just crazy the difference now of the availability. Like you said, new homes. I remember during COVID, before anybody wanted new construction, a year. Wait a year. Now you can find homes that are move-in ready 3, 4, 5 months out, 6 months. So it's just crazy how everything has shifted.
Yeah,
let's say.
For sure. All right, now let's hit us on number 2, Miguel. So this one is the number of listings, okay? Now, that bottom line there in purple, those are the sold number of listings, all right? So on average, that's kind of trended down, okay? So 2 years ago, we were maybe in a month, we might sell just under 1,000 homes, might close. Now, that number's just above 500, all right? That definitely makes sense. Like I said, it certainly feels that less homes have been selling when we compare it to 2 years ago when everything was crazy. So that's no big shocker. That top line is the consequence of that. That top blue line, that's the number of active listings on the market at any time, during one of those months. So 2 years ago, let's say it was maybe 1,600 homes in a month, might have been active. Now, last month, it's like, 2,600? So almost 1,000 more homes are actively for sale in the market, which is exactly what you said, that homes are taking longer to sell.
Yeah.
And what happens when homes are taking longer to sell is that they obviously stay on the market, but then new ones get added to the market. And what happens is that the inventory of available homes creeps up. And that is exactly what that blue line says. Have you seen evidence of that, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, comparing it to before, a house that was reasonably priced, good luck, even a week, 3, 4, 5 days, it was gone.
Totally.
Now, there are still some of those that will sell pretty quick, but they're rare. Like really the homes, a month and a half, 2 sometimes, it just depends on the area, or longer, right? So, I mean, you keep seeing that every day. Now, I'm curious now with, as time goes by, with the interest rate, to see what they're gonna do, how all of this is gonna change. It's kind of just interesting to think about, because we never know, right? They said they were going to drop the interest rates, that they said not anymore. Then supposedly they just talked about it again, that they might do it. So it's just we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Let's save that. We've got some graphs on kind of the state of the economy and interest rates. So yeah, I've definitely got some thoughts on that as well. But that's obviously exactly what does drive supply and demand. So bottom story here is there's more homes on the market, not because there are so many more people have decided to sell. The case could be made that actually less people are selling right now because of that rate locked, which we've made videos about. If you have a 2.5% interest rate on a 30-year mortgage, you don't want to sell your house because you're going to have to trade that 2.5 interest rate for a 7% interest rate. So the argument could be made that actually less people are deciding to sell their home unless they have to. You're PCSing to another military base or something. But the point is, homes are backing up. And this next one I think is interesting too. Hit me on number 3 there, Miguel. So I like this one. This compares basically the sales price that a homeowner listed their home for, and then what it actually sold for. So now that 100% right there in the middle, that means that if a home was priced for $300,000, it sold for $300,000, right? So 2 years ago, you can see that the beginning of that graph there on the left, all those numbers are above 100%, meaning what? Homes sold for over the asking price. Again, that was back in the day when that $300,000 home had 6 offers and the winning offer was like $310,000, right? But you can see basically around the end of 2022, that line started to dip under 100%, and right now, last month, it was around 98, 99%. What does that mean? It means that $300,000 home is selling for less than $300,000, right?
Yep.
I mean, have you seen this with our buyers?
100%. And I always think about why. One of the reasons why I think this is, I've seen a lot of, in my opinion, slightly overpriced homes for the market, for where we are. I show a lot of homes, and I do see MAs, and a lot of times, John, I've looked at these homes like, what, I think this is slightly overpriced. So I don't know if it's just because people still think that it's before, things were going to be great and they were going to sell their homes at a certain price. But again, for me, slightly overpriced. I don't know if agents are convincing sellers that they can sell the home for a certain amount of money. But definitely I see this quite a bit. Yeah.
And I piggyback on that, on your comment about, we don't know if agents are convincing sellers to, overprice their homes. If that's the case, you've got a terrible real estate agent, and you should think about that. What I find myself doing a lot with our sellers is desperately trying to convince them not to overprice the home, because I know if they overprice the home, it's not going to sell. It's just going to sit, and it's not going to get that many views. You know? So, and this graph right here proves that homes are selling for less than their asking price. Now, not significantly less. We're talking 98, 99%. But people, homeowners especially, who are considering selling their home should take it into account.
Yeah, and also a lot of buyers, because before, a lot of buyers were like, hey, I have to put 5, 10, 15,000 over asking price just to be competitive. And I feel like now we're at the time that most homes, for the most part, their number prices are so close to asking price, sometimes a little bit less. Now, there's homes that are still very popular, and they will sell slightly above, maybe 5 above, depending on the price point. But yeah, I see this a lot. Homes just selling, like you say, for less than what their asking price is.
Absolutely. And hit us on that next one, Miguel. So we've got one more graph here for you. This one, again, shouldn't surprise anybody. Days on market. This is how long is a home on the market before it's getting under contract. You can see there in the summer of 2022, that number got down to 22 days more or less, which is crazy. 3 weeks, and you had an offer, and you were moving on. Last month, it was just under 70 days. So, I mean, that graph makes a lot of sense, and it corresponds perfectly with the first graph we had about the number of active listings that were climbing up. So this just makes sense, there's more inventory, so buyers have more choices, and they can be more selective, and so it's taking much longer for homes to sell, especially if they're overpriced. So that's just the bottom line of it. So I don't think we need to say much more about that. Let's hit number 5 there. So Alex talked a little bit about how we don't know what's going to happen, because interest rates really do drive the real estate market. It couldn't have been any more obvious than a couple of years ago when they were so low. The real estate market went nuts. Now they've doubled, and the real estate market is less nuts. But there is some good news here. It does sound, everybody knows that basically we've been fighting inflation. That when the cost of goods and services go up, that becomes problematic for the economy. What does the Fed do to counter that? They raise the interest rates, which they've done. And ideally, what happens is the Fed raises the interest rates, slows down inflation, inflation starts to come under control, and then the Fed starts to lower the interest rate. If they can lower the interest rate gradually enough so that there isn't any kind of big crash, we call that a soft landing. And now you can see that just a year ago, the majority of the economists thought that 60%, 2/3 of them didn't think we were going to be able to pull off a soft landing, whereas now those numbers have almost switched, right? So that's really good news. That does suggest that we're not going to have any type of big crash or anything like that. We've always said there's not going to be a housing market crash, but this does kind of start to show that, yes, I think things are going to be a little bit better. The Fed met just a couple of days ago, and they decided to hold the interest rates where they were, and they did suggest that it's possible that they would lower the rate 3 times this year, but that remains to be seen. We can't, of course, predict that. And then one more graph. This one is just to kind of reinforce this idea that, things are looking a little bit better. Unemployment is at an all-time low. So that's, of course, good news. But at the same time, we're seeing tons of corporate layoffs, which is a whole other topic, but that we won't get into. So, any thoughts about the economy?
It's it's bad. I mean, it's getting better, but I mean, it's just like you said, we just don't know. We can't really predict. We kind of have an idea what's happening. I'm actually excited for this year, right? Because last year was a little bit rough for everybody. So I'm hopeful. That's the only thing we can do. Hopeful that this year, it gets better for everybody. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And I do think that based on how everything it's moving, at least, before the buyers had a really hard time getting homes, obviously competitiveness, regardless of the interest rate. I feel like now, hopefully with the interest rates, if they come a little bit, more down, it gives the ability for more buyers to be able to afford these homes, and obviously the sellers who are trying to sell the homes to get the qualifying buyers. So hopefully that happens sooner than later, but we should just be hopeful about it.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, it could be a lot worse. Like, let's keep in mind that when this whole inflation thing started to come about and people were like, oh, don't worry, we're going to pull off a soft landing, everybody, including myself, I was like, come on, like how many times have we successfully pulled a soft landing off, and it hasn't been that much. But sure enough, it looks like we are trending in that direction. So I'm actually relatively optimistic about it. But of course, time will tell. Anything can happen. So, I mean, in a nutshell, the real estate market, I actually met with 2 sellers yesterday, and sellers always ask when we're at listing appointments, how's the market? Is my home going to sell quick? And I always say, of course, timing is important. Right now is a good time to sell a home because it's spring going into summer. Nobody wants to move in the middle of winter, especially if you're from a northern climate, right? Kids are in school, and again, nobody wants to pull their kids out of school. But summer is the time where if you're going to relocate or if you're going to upsize, downsize, summer is the time to do it. And so we are seeing a good trend as far as the real estate market doing well. The other thing that's most important, of course, for a homeowner is you have to price your home correctly. If you overprice your home, it's not going to sell quickly, and you're going to, likely lower the price. So now I've been working more with the sellers. What are you seeing with the buyers as far as getting under contract, offers accepted, things like that?
Yeah, just kind of like what we mentioned earlier. It seems like unless the home is very popular, maybe closer to the $200,000 range, remodel, stuff like that, they usually, are still a little bit competitive for the most part. Yes, a lot of homes that we get a lot of clients saying, hey, what is the market? Can I get this home for less? For the most part, yes. A lot of the homes right now, it depends. You got to do CMAs, like you said. I don't know what it is, but in my opinion, a lot of homes are slightly overpriced. Again, maybe because they're convincing, or maybe they think the market is what it was. I don't know, but I see that a lot. And like I said, I'm interested to see if the interest dropped a little bit, how that's going to change, because there's going to be more buyers, maybe more sellers, and I wonder who's going to win, if it's going to be a buyer's market again or a seller's market. So obviously for the buyers, everybody wants that because it was a seller's market for the longest time during COVID. So it'll be nice if buyers can get a break and it can be more even. But yeah, I see that a lot, John. Homes just overpriced mainly.
Yeah, and if, like I said, right now interest rates, let's say, are around 7%. I think if once they dip below 6, get into the 5s, it's going to be nuts. And I think actually it'll be good for buyers and sellers. It'll be good for buyers because when the interest rate goes down, you can afford more home, or you can afford the same price home with a smaller mortgage payment. But it's also going to be good for sellers because all of that inventory that's starting to back up, that'll start to clear out because people will start, buying homes. So, we'll see what happens. And one other piece of news in real estate that we want to talk about. Yeah, let's show this little NAR thing. So, again, this is something I talk about in the newsletter. Like I said, if you're interested in that newsletter, john@penaelpaso.com, and we'll get you on there. But recently, a couple months ago, there was a big announcement that the National Association of Realtors had been sued by homeowners who were saying that it was unfair that they have to pay not only their listing agent's commission, but also that they have to offer and pay a buyer's agent commission. Those folks won that lawsuit, and recently the National Association of Realtors settled that lawsuit and agreed to pay out, millions of dollars to these people and to make significant changes. So those significant changes essentially are, now this isn't going to take place until kind of mid-July because we need time to do, redo documents and everything. But essentially, in a nutshell, what happens right now is that whenever a homeowner decides to list on the MLS, the homeowner, there's a place where the homeowner has to say, okay, I'm going to pay the buyer's agent who brings me a buyer X percentage of a commission. That's typically 2 to 3%. Okay? Now, keep in mind, homeowners also have to pay typically 3% to their listing agent to sell the home, which means whenever you sell your home in our country, you're going to pay roughly 5 to 6% of the sales price to two real estate agents. Your real estate agent, which is reasonable, right? They're the ones that are working for you. We're the ones spending the money on the marketing, the videos, the pictures, all of that, holding the open houses, right? But the homeowner also has to pay a commission to the buyer's agent. That's going to change. That whole system is going to change, and so it's going to be really interesting to see how that all plays out. But it's something that, at least for real estate agents, everybody's talking about. And like I said, those changes aren't going to take effect for a little bit while, but it is something that's on the horizon.
Yeah, and it's interesting to know because, I mean, everybody at least talk about at the beginning when this is happening. A lot of people were scared, and what is this happening? I mean, people said, for me, I was not that worried because I know everything works out, right? It's not going to be the end of the world, all this stuff. And when he talks about, oh, the commission, right? Hey, the buyers now have to pay for the agent's commissions. For me, it's the amount of people, which is, I'll say 99% of people that are buyers that we help, nobody knows. They expect already that they have to pay for the buyer's commission. So I don't think it's going to, I think the biggest problem here is going to be people are going to have to be, I guess, in a word, know or educated about what real estate agents actually do. Because if you go on the internet, right, real estate agents, they don't have the best reputation because people say, oh, you're just going to open a door for me. You're just going to write a contract for me, right? You're just going to, like, people really don't understand the importance of having a good real estate agent. Because if you have a bad real estate agent, it's probably worse than if you don't have one sometimes. So again, that is something that I'm not too worried about. We talked about this lately, the broker. Everything seems to be working out. It's going to work out the way it has to. So I'm not really that worried. And like I said, if people already knew, the buyers knew that they didn't have to pay a commission and now they need to, I think that would have been more of an issue. I'm not really that worried, but we do have to, we as a community real estate agents, we have to inform people of what we, contribute, what our services, what, we can provide to help them.
For sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the job of real estate agents to educate whoever they're working with, whether it's a seller or a buyer, about the services that they provide. And it is really important still to have a competent, professional real estate agent working on your behalf. Of course, the benefits to you when you're selling your home is that you're going to get the best advice possible, so you can sell your home in the timeline that you want and for the money that's reasonable to get. And there's a lot that goes into that, right? When we talk about this idea of going above and beyond for clients, I know it's cliche, but I guarantee you that's exactly what we do. The biggest way that we do that is on our listings, we actually partner with our sellers and we pay our own money to market their home. So I always tell this story when I'm talking to homeowners. If a real estate agent comes in and they say, yeah, we're going to take pictures of your house and I'm going to put those pictures on my Facebook page, right? Worthless, right? The organic reach of Facebook is, if I put something on my Facebook page, no matter how many followers I have, 5 people are going to see it. All right? That's not how social media works. If I want the people on Facebook or Instagram to actually see my listing, if I don't actually pay money as an advertisement to boost that post, it's not going to be seen by anybody. Mm-hmm. The advantage that we have above others is that we have this YouTube channel, which is obviously owned by Google. So not only can I boost posts on Meta, but I can boost posts through Google and YouTube so that I can put the video that we make that blows away any other listing video you're going to see in El Paso at least. I can boost that video, right? So there's a lot of benefits for the sellers. again, timeline, price that they need.
Yep.
For buyers, you can't imagine how much goes in behind the scenes as far as just negotiating contracts on your behalf, making sure that everything happens from inspectors to appraisers to title companies, lenders. Like, it's a lot. But it's our job as real estate agents to prove our worth and educate clients, just like you said.
And I feel like at the end of the day it's just kind of like a effort from everybody in order to make everything work, because let's say you're a great agent and you have a listing, but then you have a buyer who has a buyer's agent who doesn't do anything and they don't know what they're doing, so you have to do pretty much both, double the work. So it's important, that you do your good job and you find an agent that also represents the buyer that knows what they're doing. That way, it just works a lot easier. Everybody's happy. Everything goes a lot smoother. So, like I said, I think it's really an effort for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's about it. Like I said, we're getting through that windy season in March, which is nice. Weather's getting nicer. We're going to transition to that busier time of year for us. And next couple of videos we've got, we're always updating our videos, like the where to live, best neighborhoods. So we're going to keep going on with that. We've actually got, we've kind of revamped our Instagram presence. So if you're into that, check out penaelpaso on Instagram. But we're also going to start, aside from kind of showing a lot of like beautiful, epic houses, we're also excited to start kind of showing, again, some El Paso things. We talked about this, like, it's been over a year. I don't know if you remember this, but we did a video a while back on Gringo Theory. It's that bar where you can take your dog over on the east side.
That's
and
great.
at the time, we mentioned that there was going to be another place called Mutts, M-U-T-T-S, and sure enough, if you drive on the west side over by where that indoor skydiving area is.
Is it there?
Yeah, it's over there. You can see them building it. They've already built the big fenced-in area where the dogs are going to be. There's also something called the Elmont over there, which is like a resort with like this big water park thing. So we're going to feature some of that kind of stuff too. So we're excited for that.
Yeah, I was like, where is that place? Because like a year, 2 years ago, we saw it was coming, I think last year, and then it just never came. And I actually saw a post like a week ago about it actually coming.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research, and we have to obviously do this, but I think you might need a membership or something to be able to go to that. I don't know. We have to really.
Yeah, well, we're going to check it out. So, yeah. All right. Anything else you can think of, Alex?
No, we're just very thankful and appreciative for you guys' support. We're always trying to come up with different things, obviously to give you guys value, El Paso, new homes. We want to do this live episodes, not only to give you updates, but also to try to, answer any questions you might have. We really appreciate, we notice there's about 10 people right now watching. We want to continue to do these a little bit more. That way, when we're talking about a topic, if you guys have any questions or want to do any comments, just feel free to, put it down in the comments, because like I said, that's one of the main reasons we want to do the live ones, so we can, be able to answer any questions that you might have. And obviously, if you're not looking at this live, please, let us know down in the comments any questions that you have. But again, just very thankful because, they've been extremely supportive, and without them,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, without the viewers, without clients, this wouldn't be a sustainable business for us. Yeah, we're very blessed in that we've seen our efforts, I think, sort of pay off lately, but that's because we make sure that we do the best for our clients. Like, amongst other things, we want to have all of our clients, when we reach out to them, once everything is done, we always send people a little Google review. Hey, did you have a good experience? And we want to make sure that we get that 5-star review back. And the only way we're going to do that is by being the best agents out there and helping people, which is really what this job is supposed to be about. So with all that, we will see you in the next episode.